All right. We're going to build an asset management copilot using Lovable. Okay. Lovable is a vibe coding platform. If you don't know what vibe coding is, it's essentially a no code way of building. So think of creating a app or platform or anything without any sort of code experience and just prompting it the same way that you would with ChatGPT. So what we're going to do again is create an asset management copilot. And in simple terms, the way I'm thinking about it is, let's say we own a number of properties and we want a consolidated and integrated way of understanding that data in real time, and communicating with that data, not just with a specific property, but across the whole portfolio. In other words, I want to know which property had issues with leasing last month of all my properties, right? So that way I could focus and allocate my time on the right things. So we're tackling an asset management piece here. We're tackling something that would give us the ability to measure data across the whole portfolio versus just one property. So we're going to build this with Lovable. It's pretty easy. I already created my prompt here, so I'm just going to copy and paste that from my other page. And it's essentially build an asset management copilot for real estate portfolio management. We want a user to upload an Excel file with multiple sheets containing property data. Okay. We want total portfolio metrics at the top. We want a table of cards showing each property with key metrics, visual charts showing portfolio performance, AI chat interface. So we also want a chat inbox, right? Which property has the lowest occupancy? Show me all the pending maintenance requests. What's my total rent collected this month, etc. So it's going to analyze and upload all the data, and we're going to keep it clean. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I am going to send it. So it's going to get to work. Interesting. Free Gemini AI in your apps until October 13th. So it's going to do quite a bit of thinking here. It's probably going to ask us some follow-up questions. So we'll get around to that in just a moment here, but it's already working. Okay. So traditional asset management copilot, cool features, Excel file upload with multiple sheet parsing, portfolio, wonderful. Design approach, great. Enable cloud. So Lovable Cloud first for the AI chat functionality, then build out the interface. Let's hit allow. We'll approve that. Guys, Lovable is awesome. Any idea around an app or platform, website, web page, you name it, prompt it, it'll get to work and build it. Vibe coding previously, in my opinion, had a lot of issues. It's gotten so much better. In other words, vibe coding previously, I would argue, was the same as building a house, but putting in all of your rough electrical and plumbing last. It was backwards. In other words, it would spit out a nice, beautiful web page or app or platform or whatever it is, the same way that it would be a house, but it didn't work properly. The back end was screwed up. The functionality was screwed up. Now, vibe coding is 10 times better. It's night and day, really. They've made a lot of updates. So let's go back to another analogy. Think of football, right? So previously, vibe coding, I think, would get you to like the 20-yard line. Obviously, you want to get in the end zone. It would get you to the 20-yard line, but it required a level of technical expertise to fill in the remaining 20 yards and get that into the end zone. I'd say now, vibe coding can get you to the 5-yard line. 5-yard line, maybe even closer, depending on which platform. Like Replit, Lovable, those two are pretty rock solid, I'd say, at the moment. Its agent capabilities are just incredible. Those are my two kind of winners at the moment. So it's getting a lot better. Soon enough, we'll be able to vibe code pretty much anything into existence and build whatever it is that we want. So that's pretty exciting. And it's editing, it's creating, it's writing a bunch of code. You could probably see it if we click here, starting live preview. Let's see, it should show all the code or not. Let's go back to preview. So it's whipping up a preview for us here. And okay. So let's see. So done. I built your asset management copilot with a professional dashboard and the AI chat interface. What I created. Great. How to use. So upload your Excel file with portfolio data. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. It looks like it wants us to do this a roundabout way here. That's fine. Whoa, that was like instant. Oh my God. That was insane. So let's see if it shows the code yet. Yeah, so look, it literally wrote all this code for us. Look at this. All of this code for us. Like, it's absolutely insane. So when I say no code, like, I don't know what any of this means, okay? What I do know, though, is that I just upload an Excel file and it parsed the data, like, instantly. So we kept it pretty simple. We could obviously make this a lot more comprehensive. We have 5 total properties. Let's just pull it up real quick. So here's the Excel file I added. Okay, we got a bunch of tabs. So here's the overview. We got rent roll, maintenance and operations, financials, capital expenditures, really straightforward stuff. Okay. And it went ahead and just ripped through it. So five total properties, 276 units, 93.6% occupancy, monthly NOI. Here we have it in a chart. Look, this is all dynamic. Occupancy by property. You can compare and contrast. Now, and then if you go into here, you could see like the individual properties here. So let's test the chat interface. I'm not 100% confident this will work, but let's just try. So which property has the lowest occupancy? Thinking, oh my God, this is insane. The property with the lowest occupancy is Riverside Lofts with an occupancy of 87.5. Look. Oh my God. Look at this. For comparison, it shows the other ones here. Riverside Lofts also has a unit listed as vacant for 67 days, and there's a planned kitchen renovation for this unit in November. Addressing this vacancy could significantly improve its occupancy rate and overall financial performance. This is absolutely nuts. I literally can't believe this. What if we were to say something like, I'm just trying to think here, brainbuster. How can we add value and increase the NOI for the Harbor View property? Let's see if that works. Okay, it looks like there's like a little bit of a technical glitch here. So now we're going to scroll all the way down this screen here. So that's a quick fix. So I might say, so here's what I would do, just so I walk you guys through my thought process here. So I'm going to screenshot that, add it there, and then screenshot this, add it there. So, and then I would say, we want to fix this. So I'm going to say the chat bot formatting needs to be fixed. We should only be able to scroll within the chat bot, not the whole interface. Please fix. So it should fix that for us pretty easily while it's doing that. To add value and increase the NOI for Harbor View, let's analyze its current standing. So occupancy, boom. Average rent per square foot, boom. This is so insane. 2 vacant units currently, boom. There are a few strategies to add value and increase NOI for Harbor View. Optimize rental income through strategic renovations. So unit increases, unit renovations, boom. Consider targeted interior upgrades for units as they become vacant, similar to the planned kitchen renovation. Cool, so it looks like it fixed that. Look how easy that was to fix. So now you see we have our own little scroll box here. Wonderful. So there's our value add plan. Just mapped it all out for us. Okay, now we might, let's say, what if we want to add, now I want to add the ability to click into each property and get more info on that property. The dashboard is high level. Let's get specific with each property. And look, so you could click this chat button here. It's not going to execute. Instead, you could plan it out. So you might say something like, let's plan this out strategically in the most efficient way possible. So you'll hit chat. It's not going to execute anything, right? So if we're building some really comprehensive, complicated, nuanced things, I recommend doing a lot of planning, okay? Because if you just execute, it's just going to do its best to think about it, and it oftentimes does a really good job. But sometimes it'll screw it up, and then you have to revert back to the previous version, and it's not the greatest. So like, look at this planning that it does. It's absolutely nuts. Look at this. Bang, 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 bang. Right? So I'm not going to read all this. I'm going to go ahead and just hit execute, but now it's going to say implement the plan down here. Bang. And we'll do that. And now it's going to execute. Okay. So remember, like, you get out what you put in. And I think the greatest skill set you could have at the moment is being able to direct AI the most efficiently in the most efficient way possible. What I mean by that is like prompt engineering. What I mean by that is asking the right questions. What I mean by that is saying and doing the right things as part of your input, right? So like what I should have done for my initial prompt was I should have ended it with ask me questions first, right? We want the AI to know exactly what to do. We don't want to leave it really open to interpretation. It's fine, you can get there, right? But it's really, really important to narrow this down, to prompt it the right way, to give it the right inputs so you can get the exact output that you would like. It's critical. Rule 101, prompt engineering. I cannot stress it enough. Okay, and as it relates to vibe coding, the actual planning piece here is so critical, right? So if I was doing this for myself and I was serious about this, I'd obviously read all of this. There'd probably be some changes that I want to make. So I would stay within the planning mode, okay? And I would go ahead and continue to plan. And then I would execute. Okay, we're not going to spend too much time on it at the moment. Let's see, though, what it has created for us. Error. So it's going to run into some errors, and it'll usually try and fix itself. That's what's really nice about these other agents. So I have no coding experience. Like, look at this. What the heck is that? Literally no idea. It's going to try and fix that on its own. So it's thinking, it's editing. God, I have the hiccups. It's thinking, it's editing, it's doing its thing, and it should fix that on its own. Let's see. Okay, this is interesting. It says it did this, but we still have our error. So let's try and fix it. Not sure what that error is exactly, but it's going to get to work. Now, sometimes when you get into a bind and like there's errors that are problems, you'll say something like, there is an error. Okay. I want you to trace the entire workflow and find the issue. Do not come up with a solution until you have found the smoking gun. That's the word I like to use. The smoking gun problem. Dig deep. Run full diagnostic. Like this is just the language that I'd use. Bad spelling there, but you get the idea. Focus on the problem. That's what you want to direct the AI to do, okay? So again, prompt engineering, knowing how to direct the AI is just mission critical here, all right? And so now we might be running into that situation here where, yeah, look, it's running into an error here. Multiple errors, okay? So it says it fixed, but it didn't. So, and this is where like vibe coding can get a little bit tricky and you go down this rabbit hole, right? Like it's going to keep just kind of doing circles and stuff. And so you want to be careful, okay? Like, so let's just see. This error indicates that a component is imported but not properly exported. Let me check the exports of the recently created file systematically. Let's see. All right, so it looks like it's done our fixing. Let's re-upload it. Bang. It's actually insane how quickly it parses that data. I can't even believe it. So let's see if it did what we asked. So we're going to click in here. Yep, look at that. So now we're in our specific deal page. Okay, we got overview, units. Look, it's got its unit details here. Financials, detailed breakdown, bang. It's not showing any rental income. That's strange. Okay, fine. Here's the maintenance requests, CapEx, bang. So it sort of did what we asked it to do. Now, I think the next step here is just making sure the information is accurate. In this case, I can see that there is no total income. I wonder if that is actually the case or not. I'm assuming it's not. Financials. Yeah, so Elmwood, 88,800. So look, there's a lot of back and forth that needs to be done here. And what I'd be careful of with vibe coding is what's called feature creep. So again, this is where the planning is so critical. Okay. As I'm going, I think of another idea. It's great, right? You throw it in there and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this situation, right? Where it's not perfect. Okay. Nothing will ever be perfect. So you got to ask yourself, when is enough enough? What am I looking to accomplish here? What is my minimum viable product? Okay. That's mission critical. And you want to iron all of that out. You want to iron all of that out up front, up here, right? So you want to plan thoroughly before you get going into this, because feature creep is a real problem. There's a problem that will come back and bite you in the you know what. Okay, so all of a sudden you start getting into this, or you want to see this information presented a different way, or you want the financials done another way, or you want to add a CRM component to this, right? Like that's where you run into trouble with vibe coding. So in the beginning, plan this stuff out thoughtfully, strategically, right? Spend the time up front. Know what you're trying to accomplish and then execute, okay? Don't start just brainstorming ideas as you get going with this. Like that's fine, right? But you're going to run into this problem, okay? And then you're going to rip through your credits, you're going to spend a bunch of money, and you're just going to have something messy. So the planning piece here is mission critical. But I thought what we just created here, I mean, this is a really relevant use cases for folks who maybe aren't spending boatloads of money on technology and the AppFolios of the world, which I don't even know if with AppFolio you could really like synthesize and communicate with your data the same way that you can here. But like, look, if I own 5 properties here, and like, I mean, the best way to do this would be to set. I doubt you're using a Google spreadsheet still, like what we are now at the moment. So maybe there's a way to integrate this with whatever software you're using, Rent Manager or one of those. But if you could build something like this super easily, where you could just understand from an asset management perspective, like the portfolio analytics, and what I like to say is if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay, so like with the specific property, sure, like you can measure it. Okay, but like you have multiple properties here, you need to be able to measure your assets across the board, right? Like where could I spend my time most effectively? I think this is a really interesting use case. Being able to chat with your data like this is awesome. Super impressed. Lovable's new cloud and AI piece here is just awesome. Really, really exciting to see what it could do. I think, another use case, I'll probably do it at some point, is to build a CRM, like very specific to your needs. Like if you have a very niche asset type or strategy, like HubSpot, a lot of these platforms, they're not purpose built for real estate. There are some, there's a lot, in fact, actually. I think people are building more. Okay, but like sometimes simple is beautiful. You just want something simple, and you could build that with Lovable. I'm confident you could build that with Lovable today. And so I'm excited to continue to use this. I'm excited to share this with you guys. If you have any questions or anything, always let me know, and happy to help.